just getting settled in my seat. Today's reading is all aces for your choices from a pack which I think where the tarot cards, the End of the World Tarot, where the main cards I think were drawn already or painted already. I feel that they've added on the pip cards to make into a tarot pack. Anyway, today's reading is a great title or a great question for Maria. It's who's crushing on you, who's got their eye on you, what type of person are they, and how have their relationships shaped them. So we're going to have a look at who they are and then look at the details behind. You have got three choices. Ace of Cups is number one with the fish. Number two is the mole with the Ace of Pentacles. And number three is the beaver, beavery thing. For the Ace of Wands. So just choose which picture you like. Okay, right, pile number one. I've got lots of thoughts in here. These are my initial thoughts. I'll go through it slowly, and as I always say, it will change. You've got the Magician card and Mercury here. The Magician card is Mercury. It's normally somebody who mentally is extremely good with ideas or very good imagination. Now, this is fascinating me at the moment. It's probably the most fascinating thing I've been thinking about all week to myself. This is fascinating. And then you've got here the Two of Swords, which is blocked. The reason why I find this interesting, that I was listening to a man who was saying that there isn't such a thing as being willful or like self-will or a strong will. And I was thinking, well, okay, well, I always thought there was, and I've seen it in action. And what he was saying is that your imagination, your ability to create, is teamed up with what they call, I suppose it's your sacral chakra, your orange chakra, which is very much part of everyday life and actually getting things done, having what I guess is the vigour and what I guess is creativity in real life rather than just in your head, if that makes sense. It's that push, it's that business person or that person said, let's do it. You know, let's not just think about it, let's get it done. And then you've got here this blocked feeling and with this very mental feeling, because this card here is doubled up with regards to the Mercury, which is the mind. And you've got the Page of Pentacles here, which is like small beginnings, small manifesting, earth, small amounts of getting things done in the earth. So I think your person is quite heady with regards to, very good at it. Maybe somebody who writes or somebody that is very good with ideas, somebody that possibly works in, a creative industry where ideas are very much sought after. I suppose that's any industry, but I think I'm thinking of graphic design or that type of thing where you need to have like an idea and then put it into some form and sell it. But the idea is very important. And from being in art, I'm going to say being in art school, but I never really felt that I did my best, so I didn't really want to admit to that. But it's interesting watching the different type of people. The fine art people tended to be watery and earthy. They could be quite emotional and very much into, being immersed in the earth and the environment, while the graphic design and the illustration type groups were very much more heady, this type of energy, very much like quick, maybe funny, ideas coming fast and playing with it, while the fine art were very different. I found that, but I'm sure there's ones that interlink both. This is what I've got a feeling of, that this person's good with ideas but can't actually bring them into reality. That orange chakra, whatever you call it, I don't really know the names, I just know the feelings, just isn't on top form. It just isn't as free-flowing as some people, but very good with ideas. So this could be somebody who I have a feeling could be quite charming, very quick-witted, but maybe not show up when they've made a date or a particular date. I'll be there at this time. They don't turn up because they're good with ideas and they're invested in it. And that can be like a Piscean type feeling as well, not just like Mercury or the air signs, but Pisces can have this feeling where the imagination is perfect, but making it real is not their priority. Yeah, so you may find this person unreliable but charming and, good fun to be with and funny. And I know somebody like this who is Libra Pisces and incredibly good looking. Very, very funny. I had a bit of Sagittarius in there as well. But he was a boyfriend of somebody that I know. And this lady that I know was abroad. And yeah, I'm coming over. Yes, I bought my ticket. Never turned up. On the day, she's travelled 4 or 5 hours down to Madrid to pick him up. And he didn't turn up. He just, texted and said, oh, sorry, I missed my bus. He hadn't bought a ticket. I'm not saying it's that bad with this block here and this Page of Pentacles. I'm just saying there may be a little bit of that in there. Okay, then you've got here with regards to what they like in relationships, you've got the Knight of Cups. So this person is a giver and is good at giving. Very much that person I was talking about had a really good heart, was a really lovely person, very kind, very funny, very giving, not as... Oh, it's a knight. Okay, I was thinking king, although I said knight. I was going to say not as mature as the king could be. The Knight of Cups is just romantic. So this person, has this feeling of ideas and thoughts and loves falling in love, wants to be in a relationship. So that's what they're like. Again, it adds to the charming feeling here. You've got cards on either side of that, which are sort of pairing up with these cards here. The Five of Pentacles is feeling shut out. The Seven of Pentacles is a bit defensive in some way. So this person, I think, blocks themselves and possibly may put themselves into situations where they can possibly blame the circumstance or blame somebody else. So their past relationships may have a feeling of people falling madly in love with them. Very much, their looks, the way that they're quite smooth, the way that they're very kind, they're very giving, and again, very genuine, because this sounds like it's disingenuine, it's not, but I feel that troubles come up that are created by themselves, as in like not turning up when they said they would. And then it's them that becomes a little bit defensive with it. You're not allowed to do it. You've got somebody here who acts in unusual ways. This card here is somebody taking a different direction, possibly from what's expected. So this person comes across in one particular way, and I think it's got a bit of the shirty in them. That's that feeling of they've done something slightly wrong, which is not a big deal. You talk about it and it's over with in past relationships for this person. But I feel that they get really arsey because they know they've got this. And that inability to manifest, that second-guessing themselves in a situation until they've overthought it, this card's here, and then back out of it. They don't know their own mind. Their mind's so full of different options, different opportunities, and the inability just to grab one and run with it isn't there. So what they do is when something goes slightly wrong, they overreact. So I think this person's quite a difficult person to be in a relationship, and their past relationships will be, I think, lots of miscommunication, lots of... misunderstandings, I would think here, with slightly defensive attitude coming from your person. Okay, you've got here, let's keep going. You've got here the twos, again, the Two of Swords, and you've got here hands being tied with the Nine of Swords here. You can't, to me, that would be, because they're both mental here, and you've got this feeling we've just discussed, that you can't talk to this person. They almost shut down a little bit. I've known people like this as well. It's almost like it makes you sad inside yourself because there's something going to pull the relationship apart. So you try and discuss it, and in a very sort of like, this is what it is. Not an argument or not being accusatory in any way. And it can turn into something that makes you feel very distant from the person. And I feel this may have happened in their relationships where the other person feels pushed out. I think there are words for it nowadays, aren't there? All I can think of is situations that I've been in or seen, but I think it's actually called gaslighting. But I think there is an element in this. And I don't think this person's doing it on purpose, because you've got the Knight of Cups in the centre. I just feel that they're not very good with what's in their head and what's reality. There's something chopping off or stopping or blocking that transition. And so they are not translating themselves or their life or their thoughts as a whole process. And what happens is it feels a bit messy and they get a bit arsey. Okay, it gets better here. You've got here the Sun card and the King of Swords, and all the things we've talked about with this person, possibly in their past relationships, having what I guess is those tearful, what they're called, arguments, I suppose, where nothing is clear and it doesn't come to a conclusion. Then you've got the Sun, you've got the King of Swords. The King of Swords is in charge of the mind. And the Sun card there is there's clarity there. So I feel that this may be a pattern that's happened in this person's relationship time after time, but with the clarity there and the openness and the King of Swords, that this person may have got to the point where they've actually realised that they have played a part in it. Maybe even dropping this defensive feeling up here. And maybe then you get to see the real kindness in this person. So there is a progression in this which suggests that they've overcome quite a few problems. And to be totally honest, I was talking to somebody, I think it was my son actually the other day, and we were talking about people with problems when they're young. Oh, it was something he didn't like about himself, which is very rare for him to say that. There's too much Lear in there. And I said, hey, you're just young. It doesn't really matter. You're just discovering who you are. You may not like that, but you've realised. I think this is the same case. And we all go through, if you think when you're a teenager, and the things that you do and what you think is important and how you project yourself out in the world can be obviously, well, not obviously, but can be silly at times, but it's just a process. And I'm sure there are gods up there watching us thinking we're silly now. We are. The King of Cups and stability, which is nice because this has got a feeling here that this person's worked hard on themselves through frustration, through not getting anywhere and being bright enough to look inward a little bit more, to think, actually, no, there's a hiccup in me where I block things and then I blame others. And you've got the King of Swords down here as well, so that's good. The Four of Swords, and you've got fours here, which can suggest stability, mental stability. I always say this is like being quiet, but the fact you've got it here next to the King of Cups, which is using more heart here, through mental processes, this person is able to give a lot more because they are less defensive. They don't put themselves into that camp of being different or being shut out of the situation, or which you can try and hold on to your ego in that situation, where you think, actually, no, I'm just different, or I'm just not interested in that relationship, or that person didn't really get me. And as we mature, we get to that feeling of being at ease in ourselves, where we're actually, we're all different and we're all special little snowflakes. They've used their mind to think, actually, now perhaps I was being a little bit stubborn or a little bit holding on to who I thought I was. The Hierophant at the end is a fantastic card to have at the end, because you've got that feeling with the Hierophant card being that Pope figure who takes energy from above and translates it into reality. It translates it, and in this form, it can often be the writing of scriptures, which again has got a Mercury air to it, even though this isn't Mercury. But this is somebody who's learnt from the lessons, the energy that they've had naturally coming into them. They've been able to transform through relationships from being defensive, trying to think that they're different, which hasn't helped them, to being very straight with themselves, and possibly not being too, if it doesn't work, I'm out of it. Too much like quick, and which is this type of energy here, as in like, I've made a decision, this isn't working, I'm off very quickly, and possibly pushing out the blame to looking at themselves in a very clear manner, feeling more stable in themselves, and then realising where this block comes from, is what I've got here. So, with regards to the question, who is crushing on you? Somebody who has matured, somebody who is good with ideas, possibly very charming, very romantic, very magnetic, I would guess, good with words, good at playing, and has matured into somebody who stops and thinks of the part that they play when reality is in front of them. So you're probably catching them in a good, you're catching them possibly in a better time frame because they have matured. If you got this person earlier, I think they would have come across as quite immature, but trying and kind and lovely and sweet, but possibly narky is what we would say here. A little bit sort of, well, it's not my fault, and you know, you did this and that type of thing, or just not turning up, not reliable. And I feel that they know who they are. So yeah, sometimes we don't get relationships when we're at certain points in our life when we're young, because we're not meant to, because that person may not be ready. And sometimes we come back to people 5 years later, 10 years later, and I love reading these type of stories when that person is a different person and you have a chance to, you know, to be who you want to be up until then. Nobody knows the fine timing in these things that come into our life, and oftentimes we yearn to be with people because, you know, if our passions are quite strong, that person is the one that we want now, but this one is better, older. Yeah, okay, that's who I've got, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is a really interesting pile here. I'll try and give it to you in a way that actually seems like it actually is interesting. This is what I've got. You've got the Three of Air and you've got the Palace here. The Three of Air is upset, pain, heartache, disappointment. Palace to me is always like a pattern and realising patterns. And you've got here two cards which are, well, I guess are very, I'm going to say evolved in some way. The Sun card is clarity, understanding, but almost in a way that you don't lie to yourself anymore, or you see through what I guess are the patterns of life, possibly, and the heartache you may have caused yourself and what part you've played in it. And the Temperance card there suggests an element of ease in it. So straight away, as I'm putting these cards out, I'm thinking your person's altogether and very wise. I feel they've had tough times. And this pile here is, you know, what's happened in relationships, and, you know, how have they been bruised, or how have they been, you know, what they're looking for, and what good points have they had in past relationships. You've got here the Knight of Cups. So straight away, this was in the centre pile in the first reading. So you've got somebody who's got what I guess is a need for romance, possibly a gentle soul that needs emotional connection, is prepared to move towards people to get that. You've got the, what is that? Ten of Cups. I thought it was a 2. Okay. So you've got 2 10s on either side here, which is like beginning and ends, which is the Three of Air here. Then you've got what I guess is the, by doing something which is unexpected or unpredictable in some way, there's a lot of what I guess is something here that may have added to the heartache here, and you've got here some form of ending. So what I would possibly guess from this is this person is a bit of a lover, you know, somebody who enjoys men or enjoys women, and not just the physical, but definitely the emotional connection. And I feel that they've had a few relationships, is what I would say here, because of the endings here, and possibly an affair or two maybe behind them with these cards here where they feel shut out. The Wheel of Fortune suggests somebody who's opportunistic and had, this to me is somebody who has cheated on somebody possibly, or been self-centered in relationships, not realised it, because as far as they're concerned, you can't get enough love in your life, if that makes sense. It's not from a, I'm going to really hurt this person I'm with, because I feel this person's hurt themselves more than anybody else. I'll give an example here. Let's just say somebody is when they're with the particular past boyfriend, past girlfriend, kind and considerate and, you know, good company and always thinking of you and buying you this present, because they remember your birthday, that type of thing. You know, it's really nice with family, you know, easy to be with at home and fun to be with when you go out. So, you know, the whole sort of shebang there. And then they go away for work for a couple of months and end up having, because they're away and they still need to love, they still need that constant reassurance that life is soft or fun or exciting, whatever, that you've got here these endings with these difficult, opportunistic, this Jupiterian feel here. So they end up having an affair on a business trip, or they end up being on holiday away from you. When you're not in front of them, they tend to look elsewhere. So that type of I suppose that type of makeup could be water with Jupiter strong emotional drive and the need to live life, to burn through life, to make it exciting, make it fun and make it big. Fire. You've got here as well, moving forward, you've got here 2 cards in the centre pile. This is a bit similar to number 1 with the way that it tips as it goes down this way, which is positive. Somebody that's worked hard on themselves, through knowing who they are, their needs, their wants, their desires, and getting what they want. They've seen the patterns, and that even though it feels fun at the time, and you feel, well, I'm young, you know, I'm not really hurting anybody because nobody needs to know. I'm making this up. I don't know what they're thinking. That they thought, well, actually, I've seen the pain on the other side, and it will go both ways. Because this person can love and they're going to lose somebody, which possibly could be their ex, in a way by just basically being who they are. Now, if you've got patterns here and these like hard work cards, which I think is somebody who can work as part of a team with somebody else, can work on themselves, and it's taken a time to get there, to realise that the pain that they've been in, possibly these endings here, is not pleasant. They don't want to keep repeating it. You've got here the Emperor and the Tower card. So I feel that this work has come into their life, these cards here, through what they would probably term as a breakdown or a disaster. And I've said this in older readings when I've seen men, only not because they're men, but because that's the only people I've spoken to about it, who have gone through this type of action, you know, nice-natured, but getting what they want out of life and people. Sorry, it's just shut off because I've been talking for half an hour and it clicks itself off. But realising that they possibly, what I've seen with other people, is that they're ready to settle down, as in they don't want to keep repeating this, and this person's general push in life is an emotional connection. But actually the person I'm thinking of is Cancer with Sagittarius moon. Sagittarius rising Aries moon. So they've had a breakdown. I've seen this with somebody else, a particular man who had Pluto at the bottom of his chart, going back and forward and across his IC, which is your home and your core, you know, your basic foundations. And to have that is going to be a breakdown, and it's taking responsibility, looking at the patterns, in knowing their energy, knowing that the energy possibly is to push, to get the best out of anything and everything they possibly can, but it's not congruent with regards to their emotional connections that they need. I have seen this, I have seen it, and I've spoken to these people when they're in settled relationships, they're moving on, and past girlfriends have got in contact with them, and they're like, well, you know who I am, and I can't contact her because I know what will happen. It's just they just don't entertain it anymore because of this feeling here, the Five of Pentacles. They know what it feels like to have a strong personality, a drive, and to feel like you've lost everything, and it's lonely. Life is lonely. And we're animals who need connection, and your person really does need connection. So this is what I've got here. I feel you've got somebody who has matured and may, even with the Sun card here and the Temperance card here, turn to some form of philosophy, spirituality or religion to find that basis that was taken away from them at a particular moment in their life. I feel they've gone through a crisis moment with regards to relationships and connections, because this person, as I've said, is a strong character but needs to have an emotional connection in their life. I feel that past relationship may have you may have even heard of this, to be honest, because it could have been quite strong, where this person was either booted out of a relationship, somebody finished with them, and it hit them hard because they were fulfilling themselves more than being honest, possibly, or sharing. Through this, I guess, this difficult situation, they've looked inward and worked really hard on who they are through having time to do that, because I feel that they felt like they've been shut out of life. As I say, often that's the form of breakdown we'll have, because you will retract from life and the depression will come. You look inside yourself and think, well, actually, no, I'm doing something wrong. We can't in relationships just take what we want all the time, which is these two cards here. Being in it, but being with the breakdown cards here and the Emperor card being quite focused, I'm assuming this Wheel of Fortune came out in a negative way. It doesn't always have to be that way. Jupiter can be very inclusive. But I feel that this has gone possibly with the Emperor card there into a selfish direction, and it's burnt them and they've learnt their lesson. And I think, as in pile number 1, I feel that your person who's got a crush on you may know about, has got a big breakup in the past and may even have what I guess is a different air about them with regards to being less driven and being more relaxed, possibly, as I said, with that religious or that spiritual feeling, or taken up perhaps, possibly some area in that, like maybe they do this yoga, or maybe they, are in a church or something, and it helps them be who they are. Strong personality that's had to have a look at themselves. So that's what I've got. So I feel that person may be the one, if that feels right, who has got that eye on you, or somebody that may come into your life and you may recognise the pattern in here as they have. Okay, pile number 2. I hope that helps. I'm gonna leave you. I didn't even say love then. I'm gonna love you and leave you. Bye. Okay. This is a really interesting but unusual pile. I feel as if I don't start talking, I'm going to forget what I'm thinking. This person, I feel the person that's got their eye on you or a crush on you, or may not even be in your life yet, but could be, is somebody who's naturally quite hard. Lots of different thoughts here. When I used to do readings for myself quite a lot, probably a couple of years ago, there was somebody who I knew who was like part of a group of people that I knew. And whenever I did a spread concerning this person, the Emperor card came up. I kept thinking, okay, the Emperor doesn't act like an Emperor. Isn't that sort of... But actually they were, to be honest. I just didn't see it. And then I found out their chart. So there was Capricorn and Aries extremely strong in the chart, like a Capricorn Venus and an Aries moon. And I realised, possibly from not actually seeing it with my own eyes, that the more I knew this person, the harder they actually were. I don't mean that they were, hard as nails, but I've got another story here, so bear with me. There's lots of thoughts in this one. Having a dream about not this person, but somebody else I knew who had a similar feeling, and was quite lovely, but difficult to handle is what I would say. They would say lots of things that were hard on other people, and I felt that because this person was quite young, that I felt it was my job to sort of try and help them. Good Lord, why on earth? Just not, that's wrong, but it was not really, that is the truth behind it. It was to try and soften them a little bit so they weren't so harsh with everybody else, because they were all really happy when things were going their way, but when they were in a bad mood, they'd take out everybody else. Anyway, and I had this dream that this person had difficult lives beforehand, and if you have got somebody with an Aries moon, chances are the moon being possibly your closest or most memorable or most pertinent past lives, they had a life of fighting or being tough. And to have Vesta here, which is a very feminine feeling, and as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, Vesta, fire. But a lot of the time Vesta is, sorry, I am thinking really hard here. A lot of the time Vesta is often teamed up with regards to like priestess type feeling, where the women in the past, possibly Greece, I'm imagining here in my head in my bad history, were there often to soften the men who went to war. And they would come back and they would have sex, normally with these priestesses, who were there to bring them back to normality of what life should be like. So these are all my thoughts here as I'm putting this out. Probably explained it too much there, but there's a feeling here your person is naturally tough. Could be a business person in somewhere where they have to be tough to be able to get through the outside life where things are being chucked at you all the time. This person isn't somebody to hide from antagonism or difficult situations. And I feel possibly Vesta plays a part in that, how they may have changed, because you can see in here, as you've got the High Priestess at the end here, and this pile here is how their past relationships have changed them. Down here you've got the Page of Swords and you've got the Seven of Wands. The Page of Swords can often be somebody, it's a mental ability to look at things, not somebody who has delved deep into this, but has looked at things, sat at the top of the hill, looked at their life in the valley with possibly a quick idea, thinking, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And you've got here the Seven of Wands with a bit of a fighting people off. So this person, I think, that has got a crush on you is somebody that thinks being abrupt, being strong is above being soft and allowing. So they may have that position in life that reflects that. So I feel that you've got what I'm getting from that. Perhaps I did explain it in a way that was a bit long-winded, but let's keep going. You've got the King of Pentacles here in the centre pile again. With regards to relationships, I'm still getting the feeling here that your Emperor person is somebody that may be a business person, maybe somebody who has set themselves up. You've got the Queen of Cups here at the beginning and the High Priestess at the end. This being past relationships makes me think that the Vesta feeling here, the Priestess feeling, is I feel that your person picks people who are gentle, is drawn without even knowing why. If they've had this, maybe a karmic feeling of being with somebody who has softened them and allowed them to see how life should be like. It's always a balance, isn't it? But that and that is too outward, too masculine. And I feel that your person comes across as very masculine. It doesn't have to be a man, but their nature will be very much get out there and achieve, or be straight, be abrupt, don't care about anybody's feelings as long as the message is understood. And you've got here somebody who, if somebody is coming towards them and they don't agree with them, they will say it straight away and they will put their view forward. And so there's balance to be had in all of that, I guess. And you've got here somebody who possibly uses those abilities in business, which is good. Because you need people in business to do that. I guess, depends on the business, but you have got a very strong feminine influence here, and that is part of their journey, I think. You've got the Temperance card in the centre here and the Page of Pentacles underneath. The Temperance card will be somebody who is able to possibly, subliminally, possibly, feel what's going on, but still function, foot on the earth, the King of Pentacles here, in a way that is looking very much in control of life and themselves. Let's see what else you've got here. You've got the Star card. You've got two Six of Cups and the Six. You've got two what I guess is very giving cards, very much... this is even more so here. You've got the Star card and the Temperance card. Both of these otherworldly type cards, aren't they? They're cards that affect us deep inside our soul in strong lessons. Which I suppose all these cards can affect you inside your soul, but these two are like a trumpet blowing, as in like, share yourself with people, understand that it's got to be a balance, the Six is here, and And you're going to, with the Six of Cups being nostalgia, you're going to be able to pull on this Vesta feeling here, where it feels as if something's going on below the surface that you've experienced before. And you've got the Star card here being the bigger lessons, as in like, we're here to soothe your soul. So these men or women that have been in this person's life are soft and kind and giving. Maybe not what you want to hear if you're interested in a particular person that you know that they've got their eye on you, but I feel that relationships play a part to soothe this person out. That's the way that I feel that it will be the same if this carries on. You've got the Eight of Wands here, which kicks out a bit of fire and a bit of excitement. Children may be involved here, and independent women or independent feminine type characters. And the High Priestess down here again is that feeling here. What would these be here? I would maybe attraction to independent women. Sorry, I don't mean just women there. This is a woman looking at me, to be honest. But independent feminine characters. You know, those, I suppose femininity in that way. Oh, and I'm not going to go into that. I was going to say receptive, but probably what I'm thinking here. Maybe with children as well. Maybe you've got a child and that you come across as independent, and there's something soft about you that is very attractive to this person. And that's what they've always been attracted to. Maybe they like people who possibly share the softness, but I'm going to say brutality then, of what I guess is the connection here that has got that drive to achieve, that drive to fight. And that drive is what gets people out in the front line, and fighting. And as I always say, that when I'm saying that, it may seem quite negative, but I don't feel that it is, because I feel that the way that the world is structured, if there weren't people like that, we'd be in a real mess, even more so in a mess. You know, the fact that it's needed is sad, that we need people to defend us. But when you want to be defended, which is still the case, because we're all very much still scrapping down here, which is very sad, that these people are called upon. And so we can't say, well, those qualities aren't good, you should be more like this. Those qualities are great if they are needed. But there's a feeling here that perhaps in the process of this person going through similar incarnations, possibly with strong fighting, aggression type quality, which is tempered into business possibly in this lifetime, but they still need to be aware there's softness. There's difference there, and they've chosen partners to give them that softness. So to summarise what I've got here is, who's got a crush on you? This person appears straightforward at best, maybe slightly defensive or aggressive, but in a process of understanding that. This person has chosen relationships and how these relationships have moulded them in some way. They've chosen relationships with softer, feminine type people. People that are independent, maybe even people that don't pull on this person's drive, because you may already be set up, or their past relationships may be similar, where this person's already got family or children, maybe separated, because there's an independence here as well. And I think that excites them. It's like, well, you can look after yourself. I can come into your life. Subconsciously, you'll still soften me, but not ask too much of me because I'm busy being. And I think that's what has happened in the past, the relationships where they've become more aware of themselves, fulfilled who they should be through being able to connect here with these two sixes of sharing. And, even the Six of Cups is sharing, it's giving something kind to, like a childhood feeling of making the other person feel like they're giving part of themselves, when you were young, and it's got that nostalgic feeling there. And they're working on it, the Page of Pentacles, in the real life, bit by bit. I feel this is a long journey because this is a page here and you've got a page here, but you've got feminine qualities beginning and ending this pile. And you've got here big lessons. You've got Vesta, which can often be interpreted as the priestess, and that element of priestess that needs to soften the masculine. And you've got feminine doing that, and then possibly looking out for their past relationships, maybe with, I'm going to say women again, but obviously it doesn't have to be, who have children, for those reasons we've just said. So that's what I've got with regards to your person. I'm going to leave that there, and I hope that maybe you know this person already, or if you don't, that you recognise them. Yeah, so I'm going to love you and leave you. Thanks again. Bye.